Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome back. Welcome back to the PorscheCooled Podcast. Steve's here. It's 2022. Hi, Steve.
Happy fucking New Year. I'll get it out of the way for you, Ajmal.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. It's here. 2022 is here. We got through 2021. I don't know how we got through 2020, and I don't even know how we got through 2021. I told you that.
Yeah, we just scraped through.
Yeah, I know, mate. We did. And I told you that story. I think I said it to you the other day, or Marco. When I was in Bahrain in March, I was saying to Tasha, I just want to be back in our home here in Sydney on New Year's Eve and just say we made it. We made it through the year. We're back. We got back to Australia, and it happened. So there you go. If you wish for something, sometimes it does actually come true.
Yeah, it's good to be home. Like, have you sort of re-acclimatized to what it actually is your kind of permanent home?
Yeah, so it's a bit weird, right? Because having multiple, I'm sounding like a millionaire here, having multiple homes around the world, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird because we came back to Sydney, and as you know, everything is all over the place. You know what I mean? Like it feels like, and our place is only small, as you know, but it's like there's still so much to do. I'd hate to think what it would be like if you had like a 3-story or 4-story house or mansion or something. Because honestly, just for our small place, mate, there's so much to do. And I know everyone...
The cleaning, I can't imagine the cleaning. Like, 2-bedroom unit cleaning is bearable, but, I'm the one that cleans a house.
Yeah, so I'd hate to think what it's like to have a mansion, mate, because honestly, there's so much stuff to do. And as you know, we've been moving stuff to storage. I've got a storage unit, so I'm trying to clear up some space. And yesterday, it's a lot of work, especially when we don't have the vehicle to move it ourselves. So we have to, because I can't use the 911, of course. The 911 is not a daily driver, Ajmal, no matter what you say.
Get those roof racks.
Yeah, well, I'll get onto that because I spoke to someone who's got the roof box. So even with the roof box, I couldn't do it because yesterday I actually moved out the wheels, the Tech Art wheels that I'm selling. Anyone in Australia that wants to buy a good pair of Tech Art wheels, contact me. So I moved the Tech Art wheels across. I was hesitant to take them across there because I've got them up for sale, and if anyone wants to buy them, then I find it a hassle. But then it's probably
back out again.
It's probably better because that means people aren't coming to where I live. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So I think Natasha was keener with that to have them over there. But the storage is not huge, but it's big enough. So we're just taking stuff over. We have a bit of a furniture habit. So there's like furniture that we haven't used and lights and stuff. So they're all gone over there. I realise.
Yes.
So we have bits of designer furniture stashed all over the place. So that's all gone. Things like that have gone over. But yesterday I tackled. I tackled the storage cage, storage unit downstairs. Oh, that was just a nightmare. That was just like a filthy nightmare. It's something I just don't want to do.
I hate storage cages. So because we're in an apartment, I have the same plight as you, and I hate getting in and out of that stupid little thing that's such an odd... At least yours is a reasonable kind of shape. Mine's sort of really shallow, and it's just dirty, and I don't know. People can see into it, all that sort of stuff. It's just a horrible kind of thing. First world problems, just gripe.
Well, ours is really large. Yeah. Yours is probably a bit smaller, right? Ours is pretty big. Yeah. But it was broken into. It was broken into when we were away. I told you that, right? Someone cut the wire and broke into it. There's nothing in there to steal. There's nothing of value in there. So good luck.
It's boxes.
And the thing is, but you couldn't even get in there. Like, Natasha wants to clean. We want to clean it out. But to clean it out, you have to get rid of stuff. So I threw away some stuff yesterday. And then I threw away, I was keeping boxes, like the boxes to our TV. Like, why am I keeping the box to our TV? You know the size of that B&O box. It's enormous. Yep. So I tossed that, threw out some old things and stuff, but still got a lot to get through. And it's been, there's been a bit of water down there. So everyone's going, why aren't we talking Porsche? This is life at the moment. So this is what's taking up, I guess this is what's been... Yeah, this is 2022, and this is what's been taking up my time. You know what I mean?
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I can't just go for a drive every day, even though I'd like to. And at least now in Sydney, as we know, Steve, the sun is shining in Sydney. It hasn't been, but it's... Don't
jinx us, not for long.
Not for long. Anyway, welcome back, everyone. Like I said, welcome back to the PorscheCooled Podcast in 2022. We started this podcast way back in 2019. For those of you who haven't been here before, welcome. Otherwise, welcome back. 2019, Steve. So I guess this is year 4, but it's not really 4 years though. But it did start in 2019. Steve's been stuck here since 2020.
You could say that.
I don't know what was the original spiel I gave you to come on the podcast. I can't even remember what I said to you. You just have to do a couple or something, was it? Or what was it? I can't remember.
You said something along the lines of, "Hey, you're doing your YouTube channel, then you started the podcast. You're kind of doing, 25-minute, half-hour sort of things by yourself." And you sort of said to me, "It's really hard. Do you reckon you could do it with me because it'd be much easier to talk to somebody?" It's like, as everyone knows, I reckon I am the world's biggest introvert. And it's like, yeah, okay. I'll talk to you, mate. And like, God's honest truth too is like, I definitely enjoy, particularly in lockdown, sort of chatting to you. Like, you're a good mate and I sort of used to see you quite regularly. In lockdown, I wouldn't have been able to sort of see you. So that meant it was sort of like a weekly kind of, hey, we get to kind of catch up. So that's been awesome. But the notion of me being broadcast to potentially anybody is not my favorite thing in the world. But
it was good though in Bahrain. When I was in Bahrain in 2020 when you first come on, it was actually really. I mean, it's still good now, but I'm just saying. I think about that. I think about that time because we were locked in the flat, right? We couldn't go to the office. Yep. We were kind of doing work, but not really because everything kind of stopped because everything was postponed by a year.
Yeah,
with Expo and stuff. And it was good. It was good because and it gives you something to think about, you know what I mean? Because you do, these episodes, even though this one is a bit like we've just whacked this one together, because just so the listeners know, Steve, we weren't going to do an episode for this Friday, Friday. We're recording this on
sure.
Yeah, we're recording this on a Monday. We're recording this on Monday, the 3rd of January, but it's Friday's episode. But we weren't going to do one. We're going to do one. We're going to start next week. And I just, out of the blue, I think yesterday, wasn't it, Steve? I said to you, do you want to do a podcast this week? Because I thought it is New Year. We've got a couple of things to talk about. People have been asking me how was the drive, all those sort of things. And then, after being on that drive, I've got this other idea in my head now, which is like probably really bad. So I want to talk about that. So I thought we could just come on and talk about it. And also I've got all these people who have been on owner stories, Steve, that I haven't, spoken about because they've been on since we've been on a break. Tony and Amir. And then this week, when this goes out, people would have listened to it already with Lorenzo. So I think I should just, you want to take a breather for a sec, ask me any questions. I mean, you listen to these episodes, I'm sure, but we'll just talk about the owner stories and just talk about who's been on.
Here you go.
So I think when we broke up, the first one was Tony, wasn't it? Yeah, Tony. Let me just check my notes. Yeah, Tony. So Tony was number 62 of Owner Stories. Tony came from New Jersey. In that period, Stephen, I told you I've actually recorded like 5 owner stories in 1 week, I think it was. And then I was a guest on...
Which you regret doing.
I don't regret doing, but it was probably too much in 1 week.
Much work.
Yeah, it was probably too much in 1 week because I didn't have an episode for number 61, and then David helped me out and did it last minute, which is great. David from Sydney, Australia with the touring.
Yep.
We're going to talk about tourings actually in this episode too. So David helped me out with that one. And then after that, I did another 4 podcasts. And then I did a guest on a podcast at 10 p.m. at night on Mark and Carr's podcast. Mark asked me to be on that with him and Ajmal. So I said yes because I really messed Mark around over the last year because he's been asking me and I've been sort of denying, saying no, or not just answering him. So I thought that was the right thing to do. Go on Mark's podcast. I mean, so we did that with Ajmal.
Yep.
Where are we? Tony. Yeah, so Tony was the first one, Steve. Tony from New Jersey. Tony is a friend of Rich from Carrera, and Tony organizes Cars and Cafe in his region in the New Jersey area.
Yep.
Great guy. He's driven a lot of cars. Did you listen to it? He's driven the roofs. He's driven the Carrera. He's been in Carrera GT, Spider. I mean... I like how Tony wants to get the Carrera GT is the car he's going to get. He's going to get one day.
I guess he's experienced it. I'm guessing he's probably not really driven it in anger, but
no.
Even just
being.
How nerve-wracking would that be to kind of even just sort of move it around slowly?
Well, you know how nervous I was to drive your car. It took me like 3 years before I drive yours. So,
Yeah, it's on video.
I mean, if you had a Carrera GT, it'd be like I'd be still thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And the insurance of it, like just, I'd be so scared driving a car like that if someone else's car, like a Carrera GT or a 918 Spider, even David's 911 Touring, I'd just be so scared driving it because it's just like it's someone else's car and, anything can happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and look, I guess, let's face it, nothing is likely to happen. You're a kind of careful driver. It's not like you're a, 19-year-old kind of hoon or whatever, but I guess chances are something could happen.
Yeah, true. Tony. Yeah, so Tony had the 993 Arena Red Carrera, Steve. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then he traded that out. And he did something I want to talk about towards the end of the episode, actually. He traded it out because he didn't mod it, he didn't change it, he kept it pretty much stock, and then when he sold it, he made some money on it, and then he went from air to water, which I always find very interesting when people go from air to water. You know what I mean? Because there seems to be not a trend, but there seems to be more people who have got an air-cooled, and maybe because it's the value of their air-cooled, maybe they bought it at the right time, and then selling it and buying a 997 or a 991, more so a 997 or a 996. I guess that's to do with values more than anything else, or is the 997 and 996 becoming as desirable as an air-cooled, which we've spoken about before, but I think it's something that I still want to talk about because I think it's definitely a trend that's under there, you know what I mean? That's under the surface.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, yep.
What do you think?
Just wondering. I don't know. I guess like the thing is, yes, air-cooled cars are becoming more valuable, but then so are most water cools as well, really. So is it value or is it just more for the fact that the air-cooled cars are really much getting kind of older, so it is becoming even more of an occasion car? And, if you've kind of got the money and you can sort of add something to the collection, then arguably a water-cooled is a little bit more drivable.
Yeah, and someone said that to me, and I'm going to quote, I think it's Miff. Miff, hello, I know you listen to the podcast all the time. Miff in Sydney, who was very kind enough to give me a lift from Autohouse Hamilton that day when I took my car in when I first got back. And Miff used to have the orange 911.
The orange one? Yeah.
Yeah, the one that, the one?
Yeah, I do.
And he was saying to me,
see it all the time. Yep.
Yeah, and it's a really cool car. And he said that, but having an air-cooled in summer, driving an air-cooled car in summer in Sydney traffic is not something you want to do. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that was you, Miff. I hope that was not someone else that told me that because it could be one other person, but I'm pretty sure it was Miff.
No, I agree. I had my 993, I had both my 964 and 993, and my 993 had issues. Like I think the condensers needed to be replaced, so I kind of went without air conditioning or very weak air conditioning for a few months in summer, and it was shocking.
Yeah, and I think summer in Sydney, is a very weird place. 2 days ago, it was very hot, and usually in the morning, I get up, I get my coffee, and I'll sit out on the deck in the sun, and I'll just sit there and drink my coffee, right? Mm-hmm. And then Natasha came out. She came out, sat there, and I don't think we were out there for that long. I got sunburnt. Now, I can sit outside in the Middle East, in Bahrain, around the pool for an hour, and I don't get sunburnt. So how do I get sunburnt in Sydney in such a short period of time? You know what I mean? Like, you've got to be really careful here, and I think that's what a lot of tourists always make the mistake. That's why you always see so many red faces and red necks in summer here. But the heat is just definitely different here, and it's different when you drive a car. It gets very hot in the car. The other day when we were driving, Steve, and we'll get onto that, the sun coming through my windscreen, hitting my face, it was hot. You know
when you're looking into the sun. Yeah.
It gets hot.
That's why, going back to that tint conversation that you were sort of pondering, it's like, I don't think I could live without it. It's just, it's too hot and it's too glary.
No, I agree. I think you definitely have to have tint. And I've started to look, when you said yours was a bit cloudy, you said to me when we last spoke, you said your tint might have been cloudy. Didn't you say that?
No, it's just marked on the inside. It was marked, from the beginning. It's got scratches and stuff, yeah.
Well, the sun was hitting the back of my car the other day, the tint on the back window. Yeah. And I thought, is that cloudy or is that just the tint? It doesn't look that clear when I look through it. You know what I mean? So I keep looking. Yeah. I think it's just because I'm noticing the tint at the moment, because in my head I'm thinking, should I change it?
About it? Yeah,
should I change to the carbon or ceramic? And fix and just revitalize the tint basically, and maybe do it just one little bit lighter, not a lot lighter, but a little bit lighter.
Slight tangent, but at least you can clean your inside back window.
Yes, how do you do that?
I can't get to it.
Oh man.
I bought one of those stupid little plastic, sort of eBay things with a little microfiber tile on the end of a plastic rod. But I know that I'm just going to smear it. So it's just like, just leave it alone.
I wonder when people who have children who are about 4 or 5 and your little kid can like slip through there and they can clean it for you.
Oh yeah, I could do that. I could employ one of my children.
Well, you could actually be like, you want a little job to do? You know what I mean? It'll only last a couple of years and then you won't be able to do it anymore. But that's the problem.
Just breathe in the ammonia. But,
yeah, that's right. No, don't use ammonia. You use like just water-based window cleaner.
I'm joking.
All right, so Tony was the first one. Like I said, Tony had the 993 Arena Red. Then he went into the 05 997 Carrera 2S. Both interesting colors, Steve, both almost similar colors because he had the Arena Red and then he went into the Carmona Red in the 997 Carrera 2S. And he does Cars and Cafe in the New Jersey area, so it's a really turned into a really big event that he's been organizing for quite some time now.
Sounds good.
Then I spoke to Amir. Amir was last week. Pilot. Amir's the pilot. Amir contacted me quite a while back. Amir is, I'll just say Tony's Instagram actually, just so if people haven't listened to it, is Cars and Cafe. And then Amir is from Brunei. Natasha's been to Brunei actually. I actually did mention that to him, but we didn't talk about it. He's an airline captain. He's flying Boeing 787s. He's got a very cool job. He's got a really cool story as well about the pilot that turned up at his careers day and then he eventually made friends with and he eventually became a pilot and he's driving a Porsche. So it's kind of like, pretty cool story. Really nice guy. He's also got, we didn't talk about it, Steve, I don't think. He's also got a Mini Cooper S in British Racing Green, the anniversary one, 60th anniversary one, I think it is. He's got one of those. That's the manual car. So he's got a manual in that because he was able to get a manual.
Yep, right.
If you've listened to the story, you realize that in Brunei's a very small place. It's not easy to find a manual 911. So, the ones he's had have been
PDK or tip.
PDK or tip. His current one is he had a 987.1 Cayman S. That was his first Porsche. He only started in about 2013. He's pretty sensible, even though he's earning, good money as a pilot. Then he went into a red 991 911 Carrera 2. And then he's in his, was it 09 911 997.2 Carrera 2 PDK. That one was interesting because I couldn't work out what was going on with the color. I kept looking at his color on the Instagram and stuff like that, and I couldn't work out what was going on until I spoke to him. And you would have heard the story. It was black, and the previous owner had actually changed it to like Sport Classic color, like crayon chalk.
Was it Sport? I heard that. I thought Sport Classic is it Dove Grey? It's not chalk or crayon, is it?
I don't think it is. It looks like it, but it's not crayon or chalk. Yeah, it's similar, isn't it? But it's a slightly different color, isn't it? What do they call it?
I think it might be Dove. I'm just going to look it up.
But I'll just keep talking while you're looking for it, Steve. Amir had so Amir's in Brunei. If you want to go and follow Amir, it's at 9 Alpha. 9 Alpha as in German 9 Alpha, NEUNELFER, 9 Alpha _ actually, at 9 Alpha _. So go and have a look at Amir's car. Listen to his story if you haven't already. Who else? And this week, which is what we normally do in this episode, Steve, is Lorenzo. I'm reading this before I've edited the podcast. I haven't actually edited it yet, so I'm going by memory. Lorenzo reached out to me because Lorenzo listens to the podcast. He's also a Patreon member. He's also a member of PorscheCooled exclusive, so he supports the podcast in that way and also listens to every episode. And he's been on the search. I think he was on the search for about a year, Steve. Not full on, but, like we all do, just looking on and off. And then he found the 997 that he wanted. I know you haven't listened to this, so I'll tell you the story because it's quite an interesting one. And I'll give you Lorenzo's website. You should have a look at it because he's in a similar sort of field that you are in. Okay. Similar field that you did, even though he's Lorenzo is a writer and film director, but he does a lot of, he's done some car accounts, similar to what you did.
Yep.
So he's got an '07 black Carrera, turbo wheels, swap them out. I forget the name of the wheels, Lorenzo, but they're really cool wheels. I mean, they're on your Instagram. Have a look at Lorenzo's Instagram. It's at @PorscheLife_New York City. Lorenzo drives his 911. I think when he first sent me the message, he said, if you ever want to have a story talking about an adventure Porsche, he'd love to be on it. He really does drive his car. He drives it in different weather. He lives in New York. He lives in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. I think he said they have two cars now, which is a bit crazy because, having one car in New York's enough, but having two cars, I think they have a Volvo as well, XC60 or something. But it's a good story. He's got a roof box. Lorenzo was the guy that reached out to me, Steve, and asked me and was telling me that he was going to get the engine mounts.
I think I've seen him on Instagram then.
Yeah, he was going to get the engine mounts, the RSS. I think he went with the other ones, so the function first.
Yep.
I think he said function first. I'm going by memory here, Lorenzo. I apologize if I'm wrong. But basically, his friend has a 911. His first experience really was in his friend's 911 when his friend tracked it. I don't want to give too much away. When his friend tracked it, he went out in it. That was a 997. He was on set in shooting a car commercial, I think, in Tampa, Florida. And then he found a car. The dealer brought it to the location, and then he eventually bought that car.
Cool.
The good part of the story is, though, he likes to drive, you know what I mean? And him and his partner, they flew to Tampa, they picked up the car, and they took 4 days to drive it back to New York. His partner, she also drives stick, so she enjoyed the car. So it was one of those experiences, I think, which is a really, really good story. And he's still driving the car. Like, you look at his Instagram. Definitely go and have a look at his Instagram, at @PorscheLife_New York City. Lorenzo's got a good story. And like I said, he really enjoys his 911. And he's got that roof box that I want on the Porsche rack, Steve, that you don't like.
It's not that I don't like it. I just can't see you doing it. Going back to Sport Classic Grey, it's actually called Sport Classic Grey.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's the question. Is there going to be another Sport Classic?
Yeah, they keep talking about it. And what is it, an ST? Spike and whatever, reckon they got the inside on that?
Really? I haven't listened to Spike in about since I've been back.
It's about 4 or 5 episodes ago, before they got AP and Frank Walliser on, they were talking about it, and they got wind of 2 special edition things kind of coming up that are not the the hypercar, the GT1 thing that they kind of were speculating about. And then I think Johnny Lieberman chimed in and said, he's heard the same thing. So there's an ST and a Sport Classic kind of coming. And what is it, 50 years of 911?
You sure?
I think maybe that might be also why they're sort of speculating that it might come in as well.
I know you're not a big fan of Johnny on that show, right? You liked it before when it was just Zuckerman and Spike. What I like about Johnny Lieberman being on that show is he brings some more real life to the podcast. And I think I think he's more... Because
he's not quite so...
He's not really that super wealthy. He's a really, well-known journalist. He does a lot of, he's in there with all, he has all the information that he gets from the car companies, and he has contacts, and he still goes all around the world. You hear him, he's in London, he's wherever. But I think he's a bit... Not saying that I don't have a problem with Spike and I don't have a problem with Zuckerman. I think, in some ways, Zuckerman's more real, the way he's more relaxed.
I think he's the most grounded of everybody.
Yeah, I think he's more relaxed. I think Zuckerman's very relaxed, and I like that. And also, he I've commented on things that he's done, and he does actually respond to people. He does actually respond to you.
Yeah.
And I think Lieberman's quite a good mix in that podcast, because I think it just brings a different element in. And I know you said you weren't really keen on him. And at first I was a bit unsure, but now I've listened to more and more. I think it's not bad with the 3 of them.
I've gone the other way. I used to watch all the Motor Trend videos when he and Jason Camisa were a team on that. And they were kind of quite a good pairing. They were sort of a little bit sort of entertainment comedic style, like a little bit more like Clarkson, etc. on Top Gear.
Yeah.
And then Camisa left, and I just don't think Johnny Lieberman is as interesting by himself. And I don't know, there's just something about this is just me talking out loud.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I don't think
we all have an opinion.
As a car journo, like I don't know why, I just don't sort of take what he says as legitimately or, whatever as like a Camisa or a Chris Harris or a Jethro Bovingdon or Henry Catchpole or whatever. Like there's
But
something about him that doesn't seem as whatever, like knowledgeable. And he kind of, the way he talks like makes me feel like he's trying to be more like that, but I don't know. And look, Motor Trend's a massive publication, so he obviously knows his shit, but there's just something about him that doesn't quite sort of sync with me.
There is a big difference, though, isn't there, between English car journalists and US or European car journalists?
I used to think that, but then...
I think there is. I think there's a big difference. You look at the way Chris Harris is, and like you said, Jeffrey Bovington, Catchpole.
Yep.
It's a different way of... I don't know how to explain it. There's a different way of how they do it. I don't mind Johnny Lieberman. Like I said, I wasn't a huge fan in the beginning, but I actually don't mind him. I think he's actually okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying I hate him or anything, but I just reckon...
I would trust his opinion more than, say, Matt Farah, even though I do listen to Smoking Tire and I have no problem with Matt Farah. I trust what Johnny Lieberman says about a car more so than Matt Farah.
Sure. Yep.
In my opinion.
I just preferred... going back to the original thing, I preferred Spike without Johnny Lieberman in there. Like as a guest every now and then, cool, but not every week. He's sort of... it sort of feels like he kind of tries to skew the conversation to him being sort of like the wise kind of car experty type thing, and that's sort of what I liked about Spike's thing, which is it's about cars, but like he never claims to be sort of like a journo, so I kind of like that. That's what makes it different.
But I guess maybe that's what he thought it was missing. You know what I mean? Spike thought it was missing. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know how podcasts work. I still don't understand them.
Yeah, I just really liked the fact that Zuckerman obviously has like a shit ton load of cars because he's obviously very successful in his own right, and he talks about it just from his perspective without sort of necessarily kind of forcing like an expert kind of opinion on you, and that's the bit that I liked. But it obviously comes from an experience because he actually owns, like he's obviously owned every 911, every notable 911. He's owned every notable kind of M car and all that sort of stuff. So I quite like that.
I'll say it in the design style, the feel I get from him, even though I don't know how he lives. But the glimpses into Zuckerman's life, the glimpses into his house on the hills there in LA, the glimpses into the furniture, the glimpses into some of the art that I saw on his wall, which, we have. He's probably got the original. We've got the, the numbered print. But there's things like that I see and I think, okay, this guy's got, there's similarities. You see people and you think, okay, there's similarities. You got similar tastes, it all makes sense. Yep. Spike, the similarity for me is in the Porsches, right? But then when I see his house and I see his things and whatever, to me, it's not like we have the same, I don't think we have the same taste. I can see myself having the same taste, similar taste as Zuckerman, but not similar taste as Spike. Like the picture of Spike with his Zagato out the front of his house in Brentwood the other day. It's not my thing, you know what I mean? And I know other people will look at that and go, oh, I aspire to have that. It's not my thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Where then I see Zuckerman's house and how he has it done and whatever, and I think, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yep. Zuckerman's probably got a more European aesthetic, where Spike is like far more American.
But that's got nothing to do with cars. I mean, cars cross over, you know what I mean? Everyone, it's what I mean. Porsche is a common bond, Steve, it's a common bond. But you just see glimpses into people's lives and you think, oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that as well. So let me just read out the one review. I need to do a shout out for this because I really need you guys to, you guys being the listeners, just to give us a review if you can. Just leave us a star rating. Leave us a review if you've got a time to write like 10 words, 20 words. Actually, it's probably more than 20 words, Steve, isn't it? 25 words? 25 words. 100 words.
You have no idea. I tend not to participate in society, so I don't know.
There's two things you can do for us. You can go to Apple Reviews and you can give us a review. It helps us get seen. It helps us getting closer to the number one automotive Porsche podcast. I know there's a lot of podcasts out there that say the number one Porsche podcast. I don't think anyone's the number one Porsche podcast. I think there's multiple people who are number one on certain weeks. And despite what people think, I'm actually not competitive. I'm just, I just like to see the feedback, and podcasts, you don't get a lot of feedback. It's not like It's not like YouTube, Steve, where you have the comment system. At least with Apple reviews, you get, and people DM me, and that's great feedback. I love that. But this side of it is also a way of getting feedback. There's also Spotify. If you only listen to the podcast on Spotify now has a star rating. You can give a star rating to the podcast, which will help us on Spotify as well.
Cool.
But this one, Steve, a virtual cars and coffee for Porsche lovers. Discovered this podcast a few months ago and steadily making my way through the whole library. We have a library, Steve. Is that scary or what? We have a whole library. Having a lifelong love affair for 911s, though not a technical expert, neither are we. I've found this show to be so friendly, fun, and also fulfilling as I listen and learn more and more. Owner stories are especially great. Enjoy. That's from JC Divine 99 US via Apple Podcasts. So thank you so much for that review. Much appreciated.
Cool.
Steve, what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about our drive, or you want to talk about the drive? Because I know people are interested, and a lot of the listeners have seen the images on Instagram. They were on Marco's Instagram, which I can't remember what his handle is at the moment. MPG.
M Porsche G, I think it is.
M Porsche G.
_Porsche_G.
I'll put it in the description if you guys don't know it, so you can follow Marco as well. Marco posted some images. I took a few images. I didn't take that many images that day. I don't know. I think I was still half asleep. I did actually, and I didn't tell Steve, I did take my GoPro with me, but I didn't set it up because I just wanted to. I hadn't been on a drive. I was going to ask you,
actually. I was going to ask you if you wanted to film it.
Yeah. I hadn't been on a drive like that, and I was going to film in the cabin and have one pointing out. But when I do that, I can't just enjoy myself. You know what I mean? I'm not just enjoying the drive. So I just wanted to and I hadn't driven on that road in a long time, and I felt a bit rusty. Now, that could be because I had two Mezgers in front of me and I couldn't really keep up, because you were gone in an instant.
That was fairly, I'm not sort of trying to be a smart ass, but that was quite sedate because it is double demerits and, all of that sort of stuff. There were a few other kind of cars on the way back as well. And I guess the difference, gags aside, between Marco's turbo, 996 turbo, my 997.1 GT3 and your car is that it's probably a little bit easier for us to overtake.
You like how Steve just said my car? Like he doesn't even mention it. Can't even say the word Carrera.
Carrera, post Carrera, 997 Carrera.
So that morning we went up. I got up. I think I woke up at 4 o'clock, wasn't it? 4:30. I think it was 4:30. I met you and Marco at 6 a.m. I was last to get there, of course, but I did get there at 6, I think, or just a bit after. It takes probably, I don't know. Google told me it took 45 minutes from my place to that.
That's what it takes me.
Car park. It does. And I can never remember the way, so of course I did my navigation, but I found the way okay. So we went down there. We met at this car park. What is that called? Audley, is it?
Audley
car park.
Audley, yep.
And then Steve was anxious to get the drive started before all the cyclists came out and all the slow cars. And on the way down,
I'm always like that. You can ask Marco too. Like every time we meet, I was like, can't talk, got to drive. We have to drive because the number of times we've been caught behind Lycra. Me looking at some guy's ass in Lycra is not my idea of fun. So I hate getting trapped behind cars and cyclists.
Because set the scene on this road, Steve. It is 2 lanes. It is quite narrow, right? Yep. It is double white lines, so you're not supposed to pass. There's about
overtaking. Yeah,
it's about
only
80 kilometers
where you can overtake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And it's actually 60, isn't it, in a lot of places? Not 80.
60 to 80, yeah. There's 60 and then there's 80. And double demerits for people in the US and Europe and UK who don't understand what that means. That just means, we have 12 points on our license. If you get 15 kilometers over the speed limit, what is that, Steve? You lose half your points in one go, if not more.
Yeah, I think so. Is that 3? But like with doubled is 6? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so you can lose your license very, very quickly. The points, you get double points and also you get double fines. So if the fine's $300, it's now $600. So it's a big thing and the police really milk it. They really do. They're out there. Luckily enough, we were up pretty early. We weren't really speeding though either. So we'll be very, very careful.
No, we won't. Like we're sort of not treating it like a racetrack kind of thing. It's just more that because it is so tight and windy, it is very blind as well. So like if you were going to sort of take a risk, which I wouldn't recommend, like in terms of overtaking somebody across a double unbroken line, you can't really see. Like, so if if a motorcyclist just so happens to be coming in the other direction at speed, you don't have much time to kind of do your overtake, which is why it's double unbroken kind of thing. And hence kind of going back to why it is a little bit easier for Marco and I, whereas you don't have as much overtaking kind of power. Like, and even me, like I've got to be kind of prepared in the right gear, whereas I'm pretty sure Marco, being in a turbo, could pretty much just floor it and he's away. Whereas I've got to be sort of prepared and sort of looking ahead in the right gear, and then you'd be even more like that if you were going to kind of attempt that type of overtake.
And I did on the way back. But on the way down, as you said, Steve, let's just set the scene for the listeners. On the way down, it was not many cars. It was pleasant.
Dead quiet.
It was quiet. It was still early, though. It was only just after 6. Steve was leading. Marco was in the middle. I was at the back. I wanted to go at the back because not to get all Marco's stones on my new freshly painted bumper, of course, because I kept enough distance. But because I knew I was a bit rusty, right? Because I've driven up to the Central Coast here to my family, and I've I came back a little bit on the old pack, but I knew I was a bit rusty because I haven't really driven like that in a long time.
Yep.
I've been used to driving on long freeways and stuff in Bahrain, and that's about it. So, and I could feel myself. I was actually a bit rusty. I wasn't really good. I kind of missed.
Better though, isn't it?
It's better, but I missed braking points a little bit. I was, it sounds very, I don't know why I'm sounding so technical, but I know I braked too late or I braked too early, and then I was like, on the way back, I thought I was getting more into the rhythm of it, and then we hit that car. You and Marco left me behind. You guys passed. Like in a blast. And I didn't pass there because I knew I wasn't in the right gear, like you said, and I wouldn't have got past in time, and it was a very short section to get past. I passed later on, but I was in to make sure I was in third gear, and I just went. So that was okay.
Geez, I'd be in second to do that. See,
really?
That's what I mean.
No, I was in third. I was in third.
Right.
I find third has got more. I don't know what it is about my
you
car,
but I talk in third to do that. Because when we overtook that car that was trapped behind 2 cyclists, that was on an incline as well.
Yeah, I find third I can get more. I can wind it out more. I don't know why. I always find third is still better for me. I like coming down that road in third too. I don't know about what you stay in. What gear do you stay in coming down the Royal National Park road?
I'm sort of being a tool. Like I know I could sort of do it more mainly in fourth, but I'm always driving in a lower gear to enjoy the exhaust sound.
And I
think Marco probably gets kind of frustrated when he follows me because I'm constantly tooling around, like changing gears very unnecessarily, where I know he's just, because he's in a turbo again with tons of torque, he could pretty much do it in third or fourth and not change gears, and he's sort of fine accelerating out of the corner.
Yeah.
Whereas I tend to change down a gear kind of just more for fun. Like I'm trying to practice to sort of rev match and all of that type of stuff, but it's all a bit of a laugh, but I know I don't need to.
I could hear you doing that. I can hear you when you're changing back your car. And, Steve's been a little bit concerned about his car when you're driving in the cabin, right? You thought it was, last time you drove it, you thought it was a bit like grinding for you because you might have been tired or whatever. But from the outside, outside, and Steve's got the titanium tips on his car, and from the outside though, Steve, your car sounds really good. It's got a really nice tone. It's a pleasant tone. It's loud, but it's not loud as in, turn it down already. But it's loud. I can hear it. I can hear it 2 cars back. So Marco's got a space between you, and I've got a space between Marco, and I can still hear your car. And that's a reasonable distance. I don't know how many meters that is, but that's a reasonable distance.
Well, Marco was saying when he first got his turbo and we did that run, so it was just me and him, and he was following me, and I know he was quite new to his car. He sort of said to me, again, I was tooling around and sort of changing down a gear before a corner to kind of, accelerate out of it.
Yeah.
And he'd sort of say, I could hear you kind of blipping the throttle. So that was my cue to kind of know that, that's where the corner was coming up. And I think that's sort of part of what's good about convoy driving too, because, before you came home and Marco and I were sort of doing drives, like generally I'd go first, going down somewhere, then we'd swap and he'd lead on the way back. And when you're following somebody, it's so much more, you can see where somebody, like when to avoid a pothole, or you can sort of see the behavior of the car. So you can sort of see where it undulates. You can hear, I can tell when a straight's coming up because I can hear Marco's car spooling, like the turbo's kind of going. So I know he's about to kind of floor it and stuff like that. And it is actually kind of much easier when you're following. It's a little bit more, not pressure, but, you know, I sort of feel like when you're leading a convoy, you're sort of more conscious of everything, whereas when you're sort of following, it's actually a bit more relaxing and you probably can kind of go a little bit kind of quicker.
Yeah.
Because you can see what's about to happen. It's sort of like having a navigator.
Yeah, you're right. And Marco's car sounds pretty amazing too. Like
it's good, isn't it?
And it looks fantastic. Just so the listeners know, like speed yellow, if you're looking at a 911 and you come across a speed yellow, don't walk away from it. Just buy it, because Marco's car is such a great color. And meeting at 6 when the sun wasn't so bright, so high in the sky, and it wasn't so bright, was it, Steve? It does look different. And then by the time we got to the end, at the lookout there, it was changed again.
Punchy sort of thing, yeah.
It still reminds me of a classic Porsche color, and it's not a yellow; it's another beigey color. I don't know, this tints of it. I just sort of reminiscent of some old air-cooled color when I look at it. But the 996 Turbo, I mean, Marco's car is in immaculate condition. You know, the side scoops, the yellow, the carbon spoiler that he's got. You know, it really does look fantastic. And seeing you two guys, you know, the two. You know, for the listeners, and a lot of people have asked me this, of course, you know, intimidated a little bit because, you know, you've got the GT3, the Mezger, you got the Turbo, the Mezger, you know, 996, 997. I mean, my car held up okay in the images. It looked good in the 3-shot. I thought the three of them together, looked good. The side wing shot that Marco had was a great shot. I don't think I shared that or Marco shared it, but there's that side wing shot that Marco took, Steve, which is a fantastic shot where it's just like the wings. I don't have a wing, but you guys have a wing. But just seeing the rear of the cars. It's interesting to see the 3 cars in a row and the similarities, yet the differences. You know what I mean? When you see the front. But the 996 Turbo is a great car. I mean, you couldn't get one now. I mean, prices are going to go crazy as well. But it's a fantastic car.
So I told you previous putty run, I got Marco to take me for a drive in it. That's the second time I've been in it. When he first picked it up and then the second time.
Right.
Just even from the passenger seat, you can pick it. Like, get him to take you for a spin. I actually want to take you for a drive in my car too, because I want an honest opinion as to whether to switch the exhaust back out or not. That car, like Marco's car, just the difference in the torque delivery. It's so punchy.
Well, there was that one spot there, and I mentioned it to Marco, where he put the foot down, and there was leaves on the ground, and you know I could hear this. I could actually hear the turbo when he put his foot down, and then I could see all the leaves are being thrown around, and it's a yellow car, and you know, and it was like a beautiful morning, and you're in the country, and it's like it was a pretty cool. You know, it was one of those things where you thought, "Fuck, I wish I had the camera on," because that was a really cool shot when he did that. You know what I mean? That would have been a really cool shot. But I think your exhaust, I actually at first when you sent me the videos when I was overseas, and I heard it through video. It sounds loud. And the video you did that day,
is loud.
The video you did that day, it sounds really loud in the cabin. Outside, I think it's okay. I don't know whether hearing it in the cabin, but on video, I don't know if I could live with it myself in the cabin because it sounds a little bit loud in the cabin. But outside, it sounds really good. But I was always a fan of your Acura. And this is the one that we should tell the listeners, Steve, you're thinking of putting back on, right? The Acura Povig. And that one, to me, I always liked the sound of that. There was something, I remember when you put it on and there was something about it that just sounded, and it's more subtle, right? I don't know what the difference is, but it is more subtle.
It's not, it's actually, it's more subtle than the one.
Different tone.
It's different to the one that's on there at the moment. So at the moment, there's a center exhaust that has like resonators on one path, plus combined with side bypasses, valved side bypasses. So it's bloody loud, and when you open the valves, which I think they're stuck open at the moment, it's kind of akin to sort of straight through standard headers at the moment.
Why are they stuck open?
Don't know. Can't figure it out. Have to have it looked at. I think it's stuck open. Like definitely they're stuck. So it's either stuck open or closed, but I think it's open.
How do you adjust that though? Do you have a key or something to adjust that?
The remote. I've got that Carnule sort of.
The Carnule. Sorry, I remember now. Okay.
Yeah. But by comparison, if I switch back down to the Acura, which has what is the equivalent to like side bypasses but no valves, plus like a center muffler, it'll be quieter, but I always found the Acura to be, because it's titanium, it sounds tinnier to me. It sort of sounds like hollower. Loses a lot of the kind of deep, rumbly, bassy kind of bits, which are a bit more air-cooled sound, which I really enjoyed. And because I had a 993 and a 964, I always really liked that note. And that's what's missing from the Acura, which is potentially
it's not as
so good.
deep. It's not as deep.
Yep.
You're right. But how do people make the Acuras deeper? Do they put something else onto it?
Don't think you can. No, I think that's material. I think that's because titanium has a sort of different tone to it
That's
what I've kind of read.
That's a really expensive exhaust, that Acura, right? You bought it used, right? But that's a really expensive exhaust, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
and they've
crazy
gotten more
money.
and more expensive. They're just ridiculous. Mine's a bit scratched and dinged up, but I don't really care what it looks like because you don't see it.
And the tips are good. Those tips you've got on at the moment, I like those tips.
Yeah, the tips you can swap like in and out to anything. Basically, I've got like black ceramic coated ones as well. So whatever.
I had that. I don't know whether I've spoken about it. You know, I had the thought in my head. I don't know whether I told you. Tasha said no. I was going to change it just to the standard Carrera tips. I was going to change my car. I was going to buy a set.
I quite like them. I actually quite like them.
The standard
ones. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I was thinking of it. I looked at the price. They're not cheap, and I was thinking, should I just change it back to the standard where it's just one oval, one big hole?
Just buy some used ones because they come up all the time. Because people obviously swap the other way. Yeah. Just pick up a pair of.
If they're cheap enough, maybe I will just to see what they look like. Because I
really like it because it fills that sort of void in the bumper really nicely, and
it's a bigger hole,
kind of too puny or anything. Like it's sort of like back to like when you look at Marco's car, it's a similar sort of shape how it fills that sort of bumper outlet.
I mean, I like the double pipes. I like the sport pipes that I've got. I mean, mine are Danks, which is basically the same as the Porsche ones. But they cost. Remember, I bought those from Autohouse when they couldn't get my other ones off. When I changed the Fist to the Fister exhaust, I got to speak up. Sorry. When I changed the Fister exhaust, and they cost me, I think $900 or something, $800 or something. Those tips, something stupid. But I like them.
But you did enjoy the drive? Like
yeah, I did.
Albeit a little bit rusty, or.
Yeah, I felt rusty. I thought it was good. I thought my car didn't sound very loud. I thought my car was louder than that on that road, which was a bit weird. But maybe it was the way I was driving because I wasn't really going as fast as I usually do.
Yeah, maybe you weren't revving it out.
I wasn't
surprised
revving.
You were overtaken in third, so.
Yeah, I wasn't going as fast. I don't think I was revving it up as high. So I thought the car sounded a bit soft, but then all I can hear is your car, Marco's car. So it's a bit like I wasn't really sure what was going on. But I think my car's okay. But you can't. It's very hard. It's very hard. We always say buy the 911 you can afford, and just buy the 911 you want sort of thing. But more the one you can afford. What suits your lifestyle and what suits your budget. But it's hard not to be tempted by your car or Marco's car. When you park next to it and you look at it, and there's nothing wrong with a base Carrera. I keep saying this, Steve. But any person with a normal, in that situation, you look at your guys' cars and you think, oh, maybe I should get something more. Maybe I should get something more. So of course, as soon as I come back, I'm looking on car sales and seeing how much things are and what I can afford. I can't afford anything.
I'm pondering your plight, actually.
I can't afford anything. But this comes back to that thing that you sent me ages ago. And I remembered it actually just before we came online.
What's that?
Sell used, buy new. This thing about sell used, buy new, right?
Yep.
And the thing like even with Tony from Cars and Cafe that was on Owner Stories a couple of weeks back, how he had his 993 Arena Red Carrera. He made some money on it. He said he, didn't mod it, didn't change it, made some money on it. Prices went up. We hear about all these stories about people making money. But I keep thinking, is that a sensible thing to do? You know what I mean? Is it a sensible thing to do where I'd be one of these crazy people and I list my 997 for $135,000.
Yep.
Right? I go for the top dollar and see if anyone takes it. I get that $135,000. Say I buy a 991.2 Carrera S, right?
That's where it won't make sense.
Yeah,
you have to buy new.
This is what I mean.
You have to buy a new car. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you buy a 991.2 Carrera S with a not that old, that's about $215. But you're going to lose a lot of money in depreciation on that car still, right? But if you buy new, but then you buy new, you can't buy new. You can't get a new 992. And if you're going to buy a 992, what do you buy? And Steve knows I've been lusting over this 992 that's been for sale in Australia. The oak green metallic painter sample. It's got the Sportex, the cross weave seats, whatever those seats are called, sport seats. It's got carbon fiber inlays, etc. The only thing that's not right on that car are the red brakes with the green. Look odd to me. But that's a great example. But that's 340,000. You know what I mean? So you still have to add in another 200,000 Australian dollars. And you're still going to lose to depreciation on that car because it's just a Carrera S. Now, if it was a GTS, maybe you won't lose as much to depreciation. If it's a GT3, you're going to make your money back. Depends on how long you keep it for. But it's still this dilemma, Steve. It's still this dilemma where, your 997 Carrera is peaking or your 996 Carrera is peaking and you can get good money. But the depreciation is gone. You buy into these other cars, you're still going to lose money. So what do you do?
Should just explain the premise of this. I think I put a note in our Apple Note things that we share just about talking points, which is I still hate talking about values, but I think I sent a thing to Michael saying the one time this whole kind of value, this crazy COVID explosion of, values in like not just Porsches, but all cars, it sort of occurred to me that use Larry from Ammo NYC.
Yep.
He bought his McCann. He's had a McCann GTS for a while, and he's traded it for a brand new Taycan from a dealer. And he obviously made money on his McCann, and then he bought into what is like a list price for like a brand new Taycan, which means they can't hike the price up. And that to me is sort of where it makes sense to.
Oh, okay.
If you're in it for values, like sell. Like, so for you, like if you kind of sell and you make money on your immaculate 997, that's cool. Like you make quite a good bit of money. But if you go and buy another used car, like a 991.1 or 2 or whatever it is, you're going to pay the hiked up price on your new car as well. So it doesn't make sense. It only makes sense if you kind of sell your kind of immaculate used car and then go and order or buy something from a dealership which doesn't have like a kind of crazy markup on it, and that's when it actually does make sense to me.
Right. So you have to find
that's
one.
That's what I meant by that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to walk into a Porsche dealership and go and see what they've kind of got on the floor, or like they can promise you like is a month or two away, and then that's where you'll make really good money on your old car. You won't get stung on the new one, and it actually does start to make sense.
Okay, I understand. So you get a new Carrera S for say 350 with a few options. Take off your 130, 220.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know what you're sort of saying about like, hey, you don't want
can get allocation
to depreciate. Yeah. But it's just that's sort of where like this kind of crazy world of stupid prices on everything, like not just cars, watches. I'm assuming it's handbags, houses, anything. It's just mental. Like, say if you're buying in the same market, it doesn't make sense. But if you can somehow avoid paying the premium on the new thing that you upgrade to, maybe it makes sense.
So you buy new. Okay, I understand. So if you could get an allocation on a Carrera S or a Carrera GTS, you buy that. And then the shortage of, but then again, you still got the shortage of supply thing where people are getting free cars because they're buying new Porsches, they're driving them for a year and they're selling them at almost the same price. This craziness that's happening. Did you listen to I know we spoke about it the other day. Did you listen to the Smoking Tire podcast with Doug DeMuro?
No, I haven't listened to that one yet.
It's very long. Oh. I skimmed through a bit of it, but it's interesting that both their cars, that Ford, what is it, GT, the GT and his Countach Carreras, what are they, doubled in price or something since they bought them? Like that's just, some people just have so much luck, honestly. Because Countaches weren't very loved for a while there, were they? People didn't really want a Countach. They were like big, they were troublesome. They're not even that big really now when you see them.
Yeah, I don't know, like obviously both of them, like they're both not, they're sort of professional car people now, like they make their living out of all of that sort of stuff. I don't know, like I'm sure if you kind of ask Matt Farah now, like, oh, did you know that was going to happen? He'll probably maybe say yes, but maybe he didn't really know, like swing it back to like me as an example, like an enthusiast, but definitely no expert. My car's appreciated quite a bit, but did I know that it was going to do that? Hell no. Like I had no idea. Yeah. I knew that it wasn't going to drop value necessarily. Like I knew that I would kind of plow money into it for fun and maintenance sort of thing, just like I did with my 993 and my 964. So I knew that I wouldn't, like, you know, whatever equity I had in the thing wasn't going to kind of halve like it would in a sort of normal kind of everyday car.
Yeah.
But I never expected it to kind of, you know, rise in the way that it has.
Yeah, and that was a shitload of money when you bought that car. It was a lot.
Yeah,
I remember
absolutely.
thinking, I can't believe Steve spent that much money on a car. Like, it was a lot of money. And now we look at it and go, oh, you know, it's not that long ago. It's not that long ago.
I won't keep banging on about it, but I still think it comes with its downsides. Like, you know, with all these cars supposedly doubling in value or whatever, and if it makes you think twice about, you know, how you use it and all that sort of stuff, I don't necessarily think that that's a good thing, because the values that we all sort of talk about, it's theoretical. It's not until you sell it. So the fact that you've raised your insurance premiums because you're conscious of the value going up, the fact that you might not drive it as hard or as much, you might not track what was meant to be a track-oriented car like a GT car, that they're not good things like that. And if in the grand scheme of things, you only recoup the value on it, like I was trying to get at before, until you sell it. And if you're buying in the same market and the next thing that you buy is been hiked up as well, then you're not ahead. Like this whole value kind of thing that we're all sort of talking about is actually not good, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, true. Let's get on to that video of Chris Harris's. Before we get there, Steve, I just want to do a quick shout out. 2 new members of PorscheCooled on Patreon, PorscheCooled, where you go to, what am I talking about? You go to Patreon, you can support PorscheCooled from $2 to $10 a month. There's 2 new members, Alan from Canada. Thank you, Alan. I know you sent me a long message. I haven't responded to it properly yet. Alan's from Canada. He's had a few cars. He's had quite a good collection. He's a real enthusiast. So thank you so much, Alan, for joining PorscheCooled. And then John. John's also a new member. John has a 73.5 911, which is the year, I think. It's pretty much the year. So he's a lifelong affair with Porsche, and he's got a 73.5 911. He's working the way through the library. I think John was the person who left the review. So thank you, John, and thank you, Alan, for joining PorscheCooled.
Cool.
Oh, that's right, Alan. Sorry, just go back to Alan. Alan's on the allocation list for a new 992 Carrera 2 in Toronto. He said it was pretty hard to getting on the list. But he's on the list for a new 992 Carrera 2. He comes from he used to have a 996.2 silver over black Targa, which he sold, which he misses, and now he's on the allocation for a 992. But he said it was quite difficult of getting on the list.
So if you walk into a dealership and you manage to get an allocation, traditionally does it take like about 3 to 6 months, but now it takes like a year or a year and a half?
I think so. I think someone else said it was like over a year. I don't know. Anyone that's listened to the podcast I was on with Mark from Mark and Cars would have heard that Mark said in Perth, the guy said it was, you can get an allocation.
For a GT3.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
There's going to be a lot of people going to Perth to go and buy their cars.
Yeah, I don't know. From what other people have told me, from Newcastle Porsche, what David said, and people in Sydney, that's not the case. So if that's the case in Perth, well, then people in Western Australia are very, very lucky that they can get an allocation for a GT3 that easily.
I don't know. Like, I have absolutely no idea, but I would have thought there's a lot of money in Perth because it's sort of like a mining city. So I would have thought that there'd be quite a big clientele, an opportunity to sell GT3s and like the higher end cars there, isn't there?
Yeah. There's always good, the 2 places where good used Porsches come up from, 911s, is Brighton, as we know, capital of Porsche. Brighton and Victoria, they always spec really well. And also Perth.
Adelaide.
And Perth. Adelaide too. And Perth as well, though, Steve. Perth from that dealer. Is it the dealer where my car had services done, Chellingworth, or is it the other one?
Yeah.
From Perth,
that's the
you know what I mean?
In Perth.
Yeah, from Perth. And the people from Perth, Adelaide, and Brighton in Victoria seem to really go all out with the options and the spec of their cars. You know what I mean? They don't hold back.
I reckon Adelaide's the place. Adelaide's proportionally to the population, like what's going on there. They're just car crazy, and they've got really good cars, and they're all well kept and all that sort of stuff.
So let's get on to the touring, Steve. Another GT3. Let's get on to the touring because, I still really love the touring. I look at them after speaking to David in New South Wales and his touring, his black one.
Yeah, I really like listening to his point of view, his experiences with his car and all that sort of stuff. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. And there's a couple on car sales at the moment and they're expensive. But after watching Chris Harris, and if people who are listening the guys are listening who haven't seen this yet, go to YouTube, search Chris Harris. Is that under Chris Harris, the channel? I can't remember. What's it under?
No, it's a collecting cars one.
Collecting
Collecting cars videos all of a sudden.
Yeah, so it's...
as in proper videos.
Proper videos. So it's his video about his 911 touring. The second one he's had, the first one he had someone T-bone him at a junction in the UK, wrote the car off. So now he's got a new one, 50,000 miles. I didn't realize that his car was speed yellow and then he had it wrapped in another yellow. I thought it was a different color altogether. I didn't realize it was yellow, then he wrapped it in a different yellow.
Well, he had that spray wrap thing, Litchfield did it for him. Which
is chipping off, though, when he showed you. But
yeah,
quick summary, because I know there's probably a lot of people that haven't watched it, Steve, and I don't know what you think about it. He said a couple of things which I didn't know. I didn't know it was a better engine than the R. In his opinion, after driving the R a lot, he thinks it's a better engine. Go to Corn Brown Houses on Instagram. The guy in Thailand who I follow, he's got lots of cool cars, lots of cool photos. He's actually just got a 911R, the white one with the green stripe. He sent me some images of it last night. It's a great car.
Right.
I still like how it looks. But he says the engine's better than the R, Steve. He said that he's got nothing to complain about with the touring. And I'm sure David's listening to this thinking, yes, that's true. He even has the new one on order. That's the dilemma, which I want to talk about. He's got the new one on order, 992 touring. He doesn't know whether to keep the old one. And he's got the same tyres as yours. He's using the Michelin 4Ss as well, obviously due to the shitty weather in the UK. But what did you think of the video?
In lower temperatures. It's really good. I obviously lap up any sort of GT3 kind of content online. And I've always been a massive Chris Harris kind of fan. I just kind of like the fact that he bought it. He kind of absolutely beats the hell out of it in terms of, he's kind of Ajmal style. His dog rides in it and there's just kind of crap everywhere and the doorknob, the gear knob is kind of hanging off it and all of that sort of stuff. So he doesn't, he's not like crazy precious with his car and he obviously just enjoys the absolute hell out of it. And I think that was part of it too, is sort of saying that it's really kind of very reliable and durable. His only complaint was the silver insert on his gear knob kind of came
Which is
off.
Quite bizarre he said it always comes off, right? He's had it replaced and it keeps coming off, doesn't it?
Yeah,
or something like that.
Or something like that.
I mean, he drives the hell out of it. Like Stu said, he does actually get it washed, not like Ajmal at Flat Cap Driver. He does actually get a detailer, hi Ajmal. He gets a detailer guy every month to detail it because of his dog.
And I've seen or something.
Yeah, and I've seen images when he's got his dog in there. I think there's one video where he shows the dog in it, or he was talking to someone else on a podcast and his dog jumps in the car. But, it just makes you realize that, 911s are pretty durable. They're pretty bulletproof. That, you got to get them serviced. Sure, he gets his serviced. I mean, you see the wheels he had on it. He wouldn't quote the price, but those Manti Racing wheels that he changed them out, which look pretty cool, huh? Is that a Porsche?
BBS.
Magnesium.
The BBS wheels.
That'd be a fortune.
Yeah, they're cool. They're way cool. But see, and that's his daily. So that's where I kind of go counter to what you were sort of saying, what was it, last week or whatever, where 911s can be daily, GT3s can be dailied. You can use it. It's just part of it is mindset, and I know he's sort of wealthy and he's got 4 trillion cars and all that sort of stuff. So he can afford to kind of beat the crap out of his touring and not really probably worry too much. Well,
you got a new one on order.
Also say theoretically he was going to sell this when he gets his new one. I wonder if it would fetch a higher value because it's been owned by Chris Harris, even though he's not necessarily kind of looked after it in the way that, you or I would, kind of thing.
Possibly. He's undecided, isn't he? He doesn't know what to do with it. What do you say? His kids like it, but he doesn't know what to do with it. I mean,
I couldn't tell. When I've heard him talk about it in the past, he's always sort of said it's a car for life kind of thing, and he loves the hell out of it. So, I don't know. I guess he could guessing he could afford to kind of keep both of them, but then like you can't have two dailies. So
it will be interesting though,
work?
Steve, how he compares the two, because the reviews coming out. That review you said that came out from Harry's Garage about the 992 GT3, he didn't like it, right?
Yeah.
He didn't like
It's not that he didn't like it, but he said
not
that
as usable.
it was, definitely not as usable. So he had, was it a touring? It wasn't a touring, was it?
No, you said it was a wing one, wasn't it?
I can't remember because it was a little while ago. He had it for a day, and he said that the handling is obviously kind of much tauter because it's so much more like this new GT3 is much more like an RS because of the double wishbones up front. And he interestingly said it was louder as well, which I wouldn't have thought because it's kind of got the OPF things in it in the exhaust system.
Yep.
So he just sort of said like it was a shame because he thought it was just too hardcore, that, a GT3 should be sort of like possible to kind of be a daily that you could occasionally take to the track, but he's just sort of found it to be too focused and too track oriented, and that's really what an RS should be.
And he's not the only one that said that, right?
Yeah. Like I think there was an Evo article that said the same thing, and I thought the other interesting thing about what Harry kind of said was when he had this 992 GT3, they gave him a 997.2 GT3 to kind of compare it with.
Right.
And he said that the noise and the suspension in the new car was worse than the, two previous generations ago. It's like, oh, wow, that's really surprising.
Is Porsche doing this on purpose? I don't know. I kind of think they're marketing.
Nothing by accident.
Yeah. Are they trying to they don't want every man and his dog to buy the GT3, right? That one, they can't make enough of them, right? It's a bit like Rolex. You can't keep the quality at the right quality if you're pumping out, more than you can, produce in the right way that you want to produce it, right? That Rolex letter that was released a while back. Is this what Porsche's doing, though, Steve?
Right? Maybe you can.
No, but are they doing this because they don't want...
but it's just less exclusive.
Yeah, they want it to be exclusive. They want it to be exclusive, and they don't want to make that many more of them. They can't meet deliveries. You get a bad name in the marketplace because of these allocations and everything. Are they trying to make it so they're trying to turn... I wouldn't say a car manufacturer wants to turn you off a model, a variant. But are they doing that because they know there's other ones coming in there which will slip in there, which people will find more enjoyable? Like these other cars that are coming out, which aren't GT cars, but have that sort of still that DNA. Yeah.
It's like from a marketing perspective, it's the perfect way to build a brand, which is, you've kind of got all of this amazing reputation, like everybody's kind of raving about it. Like you don't hear a bad thing about it. So everybody kind of wants one.
Yep.
Like it's obviously the best place that you can kind of be from in terms of building a brand. And I'm assuming, shareholder prices and all of that sort of stuff. So your reputation is basically on an absolute kind of high. The best way that I've heard it said was Ferrari were the masters of it, which is build one less car than is demanded sort of thing.
Yep.
So you always want it to be slightly on the kind of scarce side, which kind of keeps the whole mythology of the brand going, keeps the values up for anybody that's kind of bought into it, and it just keeps the whole sort of vicious cycle kind of going.
Yeah.
I always sort of thought Porsches were kind of like that anyway, but like it's just gotten kind of worse. So
yeah.
I don't know. When you hear AP talk about it, he kind of keeps saying like they'd love to kind of build as many as
I don't think so.
kind of people want.
I don't think so.
You tend to be a little bit skeptical about that because, like you feel like it is deliberate, that it is, just that, you want there to be less than people kind of want to kind of just keep the hype going.
But we keep coming back to the GT3 RS when it comes out. The GT3 RS, the 992. If people are saying this is too hardcore and harsh, then who's going to buy the GT3 RS? I'm sure
everybody will love it.
Everyone will love it still. Just what happens.
But I don't know, like I guess we are kind of getting on in terms of age sort of thing. Like I wasn't the right age when a 964 RS, was new to market. But when you read about it, didn't that get slated by all the kind of car critics for being way too harsh and all that sort of stuff? And now everybody loves it. Like I don't think my car, for example, was slated for being too kind of harsh. I remember a 996 RS was sort of said to be too hard for the street.
Yeah, it was.
But now you look at it with the benefit of hindsight, and people aren't necessarily kind of going, "Oh, you can't drive in that. It's too hard for the road." Everybody loves it.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know.
All right, GT3 turbos and Carreras. That's what we've been talking about today. But let's just finish on Lee Keen's GT3, Steve, because I quite like the color.
It's cool, isn't it?
Well, people that don't know, Lee Keen is Keen Safari.
He's a race car driver.
He's a race car driver. He does the Safari 911s. Matt Farah had one. He's done his GT3. He got allocation though. He did his GT3 in gold, bronze, metallic. Z52.
It's good. I like it.
It's a really nice color. But see how his friend is Bryson the Painter. That's another really good Instagram to follow if you're not following that Bryson the Painter guy. He apparently is the guy, I think Josh told me or someone told me from a few previous owner stories. He's the guy that apparently is Lee Keen's painter for the Safaris. He's the guy that does all the painting. And he's got a really cool Instagram.
Has it got something to do with road scholars? Are they connected to...
I'm not sure. It's Bryson, Bryson the Painter, Bryson, Bryson the Painter. That's who he got to spray a sample of it. So he got a sample of it before he even committed to it with Porsche. But it's a great color. But it's interesting to see his choices. Did you see it in his post? He said it came out even better than he imagined, right? The other colors on his shortlist were Irish green. We all love Irish green, right? But a little bit, not common, but everyone's sort of thinking Irish green. Viola metallic, which I actually don't mind that color. Viola metallic.
Yeah, not a fan.
Color. And then oak green metallic, right? Which we know we like. But then the other one, he said, I mean, he committed to the gold bronze metallic, but the other one was ice cream metallic. I really do like ice cream metallic. Okay. I think that and I never thought about it, Steve, but I think the Touring or the GT3 would look pretty hot in ice cream metallic as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture it.
Is there a picture of the seats that that Justin guy did online?
Justin Plasek.
Yeah, Justin Plasek, who has Instagram as well, but who does all the fantastic seats. Is there a picture of the inside?
Yeah, there is. He's put sort of like, I'm going to give it the wrong name. Is it?
Yep.
It's got like a tartan thing, but it's sort of like in browny, goldy tone, so it matches the exterior of his car nicely. And Justin Plasek did supplied the inserts for Chris Harris's car as well.
Yeah, he does great stuff. He does
some really nice stuff.
Yeah,
like
really Austria, right?
Hamburg,
close.
He's a shout out. I bought a keyring from him.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, but let's just talk about this color. I'm looking at the pictures on the Instagram, and I reckon if you're going to spec a GT3, that's a really great color, Steve. Don't you think? I mean, look at the color. It's just in that different twilight. It's different. It looks good. The red brake calipers, I'm not 100% sure about. I think if they were black, they look better. The red and the gold to me I don't like the red brake calipers. I would have expected them in black. But apart from that, it's very, very cool.
Assuming that's because like standard, yellows, big yellows don't necessarily kind of go. Are they steel brakes or are they carbons? No, they're steel.
They're steels. Red steels, yeah. Interesting
I find
choice.
That interesting.
Yeah. But it's a beautiful beautiful GT3. Makes you want one.
I sent it to you. There's a really good podcast, RPM Technic. I know I'm sort of calling out other people's podcasts, but I thought it was really good, where they kind of discuss...
What do they call? They call that us? They call that us?
No, I'm calling out them.
Oh. No one calls that us. I saw there was a post the other day that someone was posted something and said all the best podcasts and we weren't mentioned. But,
right. That's not surprising.
We're the underdogs. We're the underdogs.
This RPM Technic thing, it's got Tim Harvey, the old British touring car racer.
Right.
And he talks about ceramics versus steels. He's tootling around in a 991.2 RS.
Right. Nice.
And his opinion of it, which I've heard many times before, and I wouldn't be surprised, is that you literally can't feel the difference if you're just driving on the street between steels and ceramics. Like, it's only until you get to the track that you can actually notice a difference.
I like how the ceramics look, though.
And so the one other thing, just talking about aesthetics, because, well, that's what he said. Like, they kind of said a lot of people order ceramics these days because they like the look of the yellow calipers. But, you know, like, because we're getting old again, Big Reds, like Porsche invented Big Reds, right? Like red painted calipers, denoted the fact that you had big brakes.
Yep.
Then they kind of upped the ante and they sort of went, okay, so like now here are big yellows and they're ceramic. Yep. But now when you order a car, you can paint the calipers whatever color you want. And somebody like TGE kind of says, I don't like red calipers and I don't like yellow ones. I want black ones.
Yep.
So you sort of, I think because I kind of grew up with this whole sort of Porsche system, I still really like red calipers and I really like yellow calipers.
I don't have a problem with the red. I just think the red and the gold to me look a bit like on his car. I think the gold and the red clash. It's like lava orange GT3 RS with lava orange GTS that I saw had red calipers for sale in Brisbane. Yep. It kind of clashes, right? People like TG and people like that, when they mention the calipers, it's like your car is loud, but you don't want to have the calipers loud. It's like, but your car's still in your face. You know what I mean? It's still a Porsche. It's still a Turbo S. It's still, you know, tying it down because for that reason, I don't know. You know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at? I just think,
I do.
I think it's more about what color matches, you know. If it's a black car, I think the red calipers are fine. If it's a silver car, I think the red calipers are fine. It's just certain colors, the red caliper just doesn't work. Yeah. And I think that's why Porsche introduced the black, to get different colors.
But all I'm saying is that wind the clock back like maybe 5-10 years ago, you basically couldn't, unless you went and did it yourself, you can't personalize the color of your calipers. Yep. And there was actually kind of pose value in terms of like, oh, look, I've got big reds or I've got big yellows. But now that's sort of falling away a little bit.
Well, Carrera S, if you had the red brakes were better, right, than the Carrera, which mine have got black. So it's more special. Yep, you're right.
Yep.
Hey, we didn't talk about, what else? Did you want to finish on that?
No. That's it.
The knob. We didn't talk about the knob. Do you want to talk about the knob and my stupidity, or we just leave that?
Yeah, I love talking about your knob. Yeah, let's talk about your knob.
So when I met with Marco and Steve the other day for the drive, I got a few presents. The only Christmas presents I got, actually. I got a fire extinguisher from Steve, which I still got a present. I still don't know what
I got a 000 cap, which is very kind of you, and decals. I kept meaning to ask you.
Did you wear it? Did you put it on? It's a good fit, right?
I haven't put it on yet.
It's good fit.
Right here. When you put the decals on, are you saying that the white and the black ones, even on a tinted window, you can't see it? Is that what
I don't know about the 000 ones because I don't know. Are they inside the glass stickers or outside the glass? I can't remember. I've got two as well. So I bought two. I bought some for you and I bought some for me.
Thank you. Very kind of you.
No, I put if you follow Type 7, if you go to Porsche, it's on the Porsche website. And you punch in Type 7, they'll give you a free sticker. And in London, I did that, and they sent me a free sticker. And I thought,
is it black
cool.
or white?
It's black, I think. I don't know what it is. Black, I think. And I was stupid enough thinking, okay, it's got to go on the inside of the glass. And I did this when I first got back. I did it. And then I was like, what's wrong with me? You know, you can't see it because black. But you couldn't have stuck it on the outside of the glass. And tinted windows, that's the problem. You can't have inside window stickers on tinted cars because it's really hard to see it. Even my Porsche sticker on my back windscreen, you can't even see it, the original Porsche sticker.
Is it that, or is it because then you've also got like a black interior, so like it's just black on black on black?
Possibly. But I think it's the windows. I don't know what, like I said, the 000 ones, I'm not sure if they're outside or inside glass. Because some of the ones I bought from the sticker place in the UK, I say Ding Dong, I think they're outside the glass. I haven't put any of my stickers on. I've got quite a lot of stickers that I bought. I haven't put anything on yet. Are they outside or inside? Possibly. I think it's inside glass, right?
I'm just trying to peel it.
I was thinking the 000, putting it on my front windscreen, at the bottom of my front windscreen, or underneath the Autohouse service sticker. 000 ones aren't free. You have to purchase them if people are listening. The Type 7 one, you can get a free one.
These are symmetrical, so you can go either way.
Oh, really?
Well, obviously, because it's a symmetrical design, so you can stick it on the inside or the outside.
Okay. Well, that'll work then. Maybe I'll put that one on my car. Maybe I'll put the 000 on. I like the 000. Nick in the UK has it on his, and it looks very cool.
What's the meaning of 000? Does it have one?
I think they just wanted it to be exclusive. I don't know. He did actually bring it up on a podcast. The guy one of the owners of 000 magazine.
Yep.
Still haven't got the subscription for it. I mean, it's very expensive. I don't know. I always hesitate.
I balked at it.
So anyway, I got some presents. So you got your hat. I got the fire extinguisher Steve gave me. I got my knob that Marco had spent all the time with Chris at Latheworks ordering. It came in, so I've got that. I also got the number plate thing. You guys remember from the ages ago, Steve, to lower our back number plate. The number plate sits a bit high with the premium plate that we have, the Perspex plates. Steve did his front and back. I'm just going to do my back. Steve pointed out to Marco's that Marco's was a bit high as well, so Marco might have to get one as well.
You can't unsee that now, can you?
Marco's going to have to get one as well. They're not that expensive. So I haven't put mine on yet. You need a drill to drill the holes. I don't have a drill.
I can help you. Keep saying it.
So that has to be done. The knob, I went down there yesterday or the day before. Steve probably can tell the story better. But I went down there.
No, you tell him.
There's the knob and it's got two grub screws, right? The notorious grub screws. And okay, so the problem with the shifter in the 997 is you have to lift the back of the gaiter off and you pull the back up. Steve showed me how to do that. That comes off easy enough. You always feel like you're going to break things in a Porsche when you pull them up because the noise it makes. But it didn't break. Yep. You pull it up, and then the clip underneath is really troublesome because it's a twist and grip thing. It has like a plastic ring, and then it has a twist and grip thing. So it's quite tricky to get on and off. When it came off, I thought, how in the hell am I going to get this back on? Because the thing dropped down. My knob, even though
when
people say
it's easy.
Yeah, when people say...
Sorry, just to explain, there's two plastic kind of rings that sort of interlock to hold the top of the leather gaiter or Alcantara gaiter to where it meets the gear knob. So it all sort of sits nicely on an original one. That's what Michael was just talking about.
It looks a bit tricky to put it back, but it took me a while.
You can figure it out.
Then I worked it out.
A little while.
Yeah, I worked it out. But, people always say be careful when you pull a knob off, your original knob off the car, because you could hit yourself in the face, smash your windscreen. No, because it came off it was just easy. It just came off.
Yeah.
Because it already, I had my short shifter put in not long ago, so I guess it was already greased up. So that came off easy. Then I put the other one on, and I'm thinking, what in the hell? It's too tall. Because in Steve's, it sits just where the climate control buttons are. Mine is sitting mine is sitting in the middle of the navigation screen, PCM screen.
Yep.
And this is a long story because it was about the height of this rod. Steve got his shorter. This is from WC Latheworks. Steve got his shorter. Then they shortened the rod. Marco got the new length, Steve, if I'm correct. But then Marco also got his silver one, and his silver one is much shorter. So I was getting all very confused, thinking maybe Marco's the silver one, is the right height. This is wrong. What I didn't know is that you screw the knob off, and after a few conversations with Steve on WhatsApp, you screw the knob off, and there's another two grub screws. Steve didn't tell me there was 4 grub screws. He told me there was 2.
You're swearing at me.
So then I look in.
Then I look in. Right, it's 3 centimeters too tall.
It's 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters too tall. Then I look in the rod. And I can see these 2 screws, and I'm thinking, how am I going to get those screws out? And it's like, oh my god, I got to screw the knob off.
So I kept saying to you, I told you, I shouldn't do DIY. Are you unscrewing the top ones? Are you unscrewing the top ones? Are you unscrewing the top ones? Have you unscrewed the top ones?
I tell you, DIY things, I really don't enjoy them. I really don't. I don't know why, I just don't. Even things around the house. I never
used to. Like I said, I'm just as crap. I'm very unhandy as you, so I completely understand the feeling. But with the advent of YouTube and just having a go at doing a little bit more sort of tinkering here and there, I can understand the satisfaction. Like, man, I wish I had skills to be able to, I've said it before, to swap out the exhaust or something like that. That would be awesome. I guess you just learn by kind of having a little go and, collecting a few tools here and there and just taking your time and trying not to get frustrated with it. And following YouTube things to the T.
Yeah, and I think the golden rule is with Porsche, little things that you think are very simple. Oh, it just comes off. It's just very easy. Are normally not that easy. I'm sure they're easy when you're making a 997 or making whatever generation of Porsche and you do 1,000 of them. But when you first do it, it looks like it's easy, right? And you watch the video and go, oh, that's easy. Until you get down there and you try to do it, and most of the times it's not as simple as what it appears to be, like the side sills. Anyway, so I messed up on that. I haven't reinstalled it. Marco sent me a
Emoji?
message. Marco sent me that message to say how I went with it. I'm sure you already filled him in how I messed up on it.
No, I didn't. You've just confessed
I have.
your soul to the world.
So I just got to take up those other 2 grub screws. I've got to put it on. The gate is a bit of a pain. Steve says to use a rubber band. I can't use the original clip on this knob.
No, you can. You can.
Oh, I can? Okay, because I know how to put the clip on now.
You can. It's just that it's fiddly because it's at 90 degrees and all of this sort of stuff. So when you try to pull it back together again, undoubtedly you'll fiddle around with it, you'll get it just right. And then you realize that when you have to tighten it up, you'll twist it 90 degrees and then the whole thing will be out again. Like you've actually got to think 90 degrees to where you want it to kind of finish.
Yep. I understand.
And my other tip for you is, I think I sent it to you in a text, which is put the whole thing on, screw the knob on because the markings go a particular way. I did because I'm telling you this because I did it. Yep. You wind up putting the whole thing on, and then you realize that it's back to front or upside down.
Yep.
So before you tighten it all up, do all of that.
I'll tell you the one thing that I did notice, and I did see this on Car Fanatic when he was doing his video that I watched, who I used to watch on YouTube. Car Fanatic's got a good channel.
Does he still do? Is he still there?
Yeah, he does. He does videos on and off. Yep. I mean, he's been around for a long time. When I first started, we were talking years ago.
Yeah.
But I did realize you take that knob off, the OEM knob on the 997 looks aluminium. It's plastic. Weighs nothing. It's like a feather. And the one from WC Latheworks, so if anyone's thinking about getting that, I think it's wclatheworks.com, right, Steve?
Yes, it is.
If you go there, Chris is
just
the one.
Latheworks.com.
Latheworks.com. Chris is the one man that does it all. The orders aren't super quick, but you'll get a really good product. Like I said, Marco ordered the silver one, which is, what's that material? Titanium?
Blasted.
Bead blasted.
No, he ordered a bead blasted stainless, and it's awesome.
It's really cool. If you've got a GT3 or a turbo or even a Carrera, I mean, in Steve's car, it looked fantastic. Like, I think Steve's going to have to get one because Marco hurled it in his car and it looks really fantastic. For some reason, that one's shorter.
It wouldn't work.
But if you get the one that I've got, that Marco also got, that Steve got, which is the black polymer, whatever you call it, whatever it's called. Copolymer. With the engraved markings. Marco got his in yellow. I got mine in white, just a classic one. It's a great one. Don't worry about the height. The height is perfect on his new batch. Correct, Steve? That's the standard height.
No, I don't know. I think you might have to specify it.
Oh, really?
Marco, I changed mine from from Chris's standard one, and then Marco had to I suggested to Marco that for you guys, that you ask Chris to kind of do it the same if you wanted it to be similar to standard height.
I thought he'd adjusted the height.
Yeah, but Chris changed his standard design, so then Marco had to kind of go backwards and forwards with him to kind of try to maintain that height. So
anyway, I think it's going to be
Chris
better,
is really
Steve.
good. Like, you can do whatever you want. Like, you can specify the shapes, the height, all that sort of stuff. Chris is really, really good to work with. He's just really busy, but it's worth the wait.
If you want something really weighty, get the silver one like Marco got, because that's a lot heavier, right? That's probably, twice the weight, 3 times the weight? It's a lot heavier.
Yeah, it's substantially heavier. Like,
be interesting to see how it feels. But even the copolymer one is probably, 4 times the weight of the OEM one. The OEM one weighs absolutely nothing.
It's because the rod's actually stainless, and that's what.
But it looks good. Quality is beautiful. I posted a picture on the Instagram over there. One of the many Instagrams that I have.
Waiting for you to fit it and drive with it. I want to see what you think about the actual
I might do it later today. I've got to edit a podcast later, but I might do it later today. Hey, recommendation before we go. We're gone over. Let's finish it. It's an hour 30 already. We've gone very long. Quick. Yep.
So Justin Plasic, who we talked about, does lots of inserts for Porsche cars using all the kind of traditional stuff. Did Chris Harris's car, did Lee Keen's car, all the 991 onwards crew, I think, order stuff from him quite a bit. But he's done some really beautiful old classic things as well. He set up a little side brand called Handtrit.
What's it called?
Hantrit, Handtrit. It's on Instagram, and he's got his own website. HANTRIT, I think.
All right. Oh, I didn't know about that. How come I didn't know about that? I didn't realize that was a brand the other day. Oh, okay.
The key ring that I got sort of has like a bit of the old traditional, like I picked the Pepita thing that's in my car on the inside of the loop, and then it's got like really nice stitching and leather, and you can basically customize the whole thing. It's really nice.
Yeah, they're very nice. Wow, expensive.
They're not expensive. The thing, like, again, for us living in the arse end of the world, like the shipping's
probably
Australia
double the
is,
price. Yeah,
yeah,
they're €95 everyone, so they're not that expensive. But the shipping would kill us in Australia for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets you.
It's very nice. So, maybe I should get one. They look good the other day.
I had a little chat with him, Justin, and he sounds like a really nice bloke. He made a set of seats that I've always really loved, like inserts, which were sort of like a modern day take. I think I sent it to you, a modern day take on the tricolor 964 RS seats, you know.
Oh, yes.
959s had them as well.
Yep.
But he had a mixture of sort of like a checker kind of pattern, but you could tell that there were 3 different shades on the cushions.
Right.
My favorite seat insert ever. I got him to quote it.
Good price?
No, expensive.
Are you going to do it? You should do it. You know which one I like in the key fob? I like which one? I like the black and 50th anniversary houndstooth. Is that the one you got?
That's what I've got. Yep.
That's the one you've got, right?
Yep.
How about that? Yeah, that's a good one.
You mean this?
Yeah. Show me. Yeah, that's right. I saw it the other day. I was half asleep, but it's really nice. It's really nice. Shit, another thing to buy, €95. How much was the shipping? A lot, I guess.
Australia. Wait till you go back to London.
They're very cool. Very cool. All right, mate.
Cool.
What else? Is that it? I think that's it.
We've babbled and
we've gone on. It's
enough.
a long one today. It's 133. I think this is the longest one it's probably not 133 because we had a few technical difficulties in the beginning, so I probably have to cut something out. Mate, what else before we go? That's it?
No, that's it.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
2022. Let's get that GT3 in 2022. Touring.
Hurry up, mate.
Touring. What am I going to get? I've got to get something. Dilemma. All right.
I was wondering what you were thinking. Let's talk about it in the next one.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the next one. I don't know what to do. No money. Yeah. All right, mate. Thanks.
Cool. Cheers, man.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Steve, coming in from Sydney, where I am as well. What do I mean coming in from Sydney? Coming in from over there. I'm pointing to the right somewhere. As you can see, it's been a long one today. Anyway, my name is Michael Barth. This is the PorscheCooled Podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.